all around us, especially in this last 2 years with coronavirus. We've all lost loved ones.
Amir al-Mu'mineen Salamullahi alayhi Nahj Balagha talks about the pain with Sakaratul Maut. He describes it like scissors that cuts flesh.
There's not a human being on this earth who doesn't fear death at one stage of their life or another. Look at this world as if you're going to go at any second.
Join me this holy month of Ramadan on my journey to the grave.
With both.
We question our daily position, seeking answers and definitions. Get the queries off your chest with Ahkam SOS.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ahkam SOS, the show that discusses Islamic duties and practices. Now, it's a live show. We do take in all your questions. If you have any questions you'd like to ask on any topic whatsoever, please send them in via the WhatsApp, the email address ahkamsos@imamhussein.tv. Give us a call live in the studio, 0203 515 0199. And if you're watching on Facebook Live or you're watching on YouTube, put your questions in the comment section, and inshallah the technical team will be able to send me your questions on my nice little iPad here, and inshallah we'll be able to discuss and answer all of your queries. I'm your host Mohsen Shah, and joining me is Sheikh Ali Ma. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
How are you doing this evening, Sheikhna?
Alhamdulillah.
Sheikhna, to you and also to all our viewers, Ramadan Kareem, the holy month of Ramadan is upon us, a time where we refrain from eating and drinking, but also a time for us to rekindle our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Ahlul Bayt, and a time for us to really work on our taqwa and on our nafs as well. Sheikhna, is there anything you'd like to say to the viewers in regards to the introduction of the holy month? And most of us are fasting today as our first fast.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. Initially, I would like to send the tabrik and the mubarak of this holy month, the approach and the arrival of this great month, the month of fasting, the month of remembering all these Allah's blessings and attributes and blessings in this holy month, the month of the Holy Quran, the month of dua, the month of asking Allah Azza wa Jal our hajat for dunya and akhirah as well. A great opportunity for self-building and trying to elevate our status and position to the highest possible perfection level, inshaAllah ta'ala. There's a dua recited on the first month of Ramadan, on the eve, and the dua states, Allahumma innahu qad dakhala shahr Ramadan. Oh Allah, it is indeed that the month of Ramadan has entered, has approached, has arrived. Allahumma rabbi shahr Ramadan alladhi anzalta fihi al-Quran. Oh Allah, the Lord of the holy month of Ramadan. Allah is the one, this is Shahrullah, the month of Allah Azza wa Jal, in which the Quran was revealed. وَجَعَلْتَهُ بَيْنَاتٍ مِنَ الْهُدَى وَالْفُرْقَانِ, and you made it as a clear proof and evidence and the criterion for the truth and the false, the right and the wrong. Allahumma fabarik lana fi shahr Ramadan. Oh Allah, bless this holy month of Ramadan for us. This is a blessing from Allah Azza wa Jal. This is a barakah from Allah Azza wa Jal on the believers. وَأَعِنَّا عَلَى صِيَامِهِ وَصَلَوَاتِهِ, and aid us and help us and assist us with the fasting and the praying in this holy month, because we need to ask Allah Azza wa Jal to give us the opportunity to be able to fast this holy month and to be able to pray the salawats and the prayers in this holy month. وَتَقَبَّلْهُ مِنَّا, that's the aim and the objective. That may Allah accept these a'mal, be it reciting for the Holy Quran, be it the salah, the prayings, or be it the fasting itself. What is important that وَتَقَبَّلْهُ, that Allah accepts from us this fasting, this praying, this dua, this holy recitation of the Quran. Very important. Without acceptance of Allah, where can we go? Yes, you have achieved, you have fulfilled your duty as fasting, but as-siyam or salah without acceptance is a great loss. So we ask Allah Azza wa Jal for acceptance. وَتَقَبَّلْهُ مِنَّا. That's important.
Sheikh, I've got so many questions coming in already from our viewers. Inshallah, we'll be able to answer some of them. From the WhatsApp, is it permissible to spray perfume, which is alcohol, based on a prayer mat?
Yes, indeed, it is permissible according to many of the maraja, except those who follow Ayatollah. I think Hakim and Bashir Najafi, in which they would consider the alcohol in perfumes is not.
Okay, so they don't distinguish between industrial alcohol and then others. Assalamu alaikum from WhatsApp. I have a question. Can I offer namaz with Sunni Jamaa? So with a different school of thought, can we join their Jamaa prayer?
The Jamaa behind an Imam who is not adil, who is not just, it's not permissible. You have to make sure that you pray behind an Imam who is just, adil. Of course, initially he's Ithna Ashari, follower of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, and he doesn't commit major sins, for example. So no, you have to make sure that you follow and pray behind the Imam who is just, who is muttaqi, who is follower of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, and who does not follow the enemies of Ahlul Bayt, who does not approve and affirm the walai of other than Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. You have to make sure that he follows Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, so your salah would be accepted, inshallah.
Inshallah. Another question here from YouTube. Assalamu alaikum. I wanted to know, what is the ruling if someone cannot fast for medical reasons? What is required during Ramadan in this case? So is there like a kafara to pay, or is there like an alternative? If someone is medically, they cannot fast, what can they do?
The masal inshallah will come one by one, but in overall there's a fidya to be paid. So fidya for not fasting that day. So inshallah we'll mention this later, inshallah.
Inshallah. Another one here. Assalamu alaikum. Shahr Ramadhan Mubarak, Sheikhana and Sayyid. Mubarak to you too. I wanted to say, I have read a lot of hadith in Al-Kafi about the forbidding of saying the month of Ramadan without Shahr, the month of. I wanted to say, if I had mistakenly said this once or twice, do I have to pay a kafara as it is stated in the hadith Imam says to pay?
Yes, indeed. There's a hadith which says about not to say Ramadan and say month of Ramadan. But to go to the extent of becoming haram and forbidden, that requires, to be honest, fatwa from the marja to be able to issue such fatwa. But in overall, these are encouragements, discouragements, unless we get in somehow the confirmation that this means wajib or this means haram, for example. But in overall, these are mustahab and makruhat in these narrations, in overall.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Is it permissible to eat the turba or mohr khaki shafa?
You see, what is mentioned is to take very small bit amount for the barakah and shifa, but not to eat as a whole. So just a small amount.
I see. More questions coming in. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Is it okay to get tax credit on our charitable donations? This is from WhatsApp.
So tax for...
we don't have it in this country. I think
okay.
the closest thing we have is gift aid, where the government would give a percentage of taxpayers' money to a charitable donation that you've given. But in other countries, I think when they give donations, they can use it as a gift or as an expense off their taxes, which is legally allowed according to their law. So Islamically speaking, can they do that?
I mean, according to Ayatollah Sistani, they have to follow the rules and the guidelines of the government. They live under that government, so respecting their laws in overall. So if they are allowed to receive such amount, that's really fine.
Fair enough. Sheikh from WhatsApp. Sheikh, why are we not allowed to pray on carpet, and can we pray on concrete? We are on the road, for example. I think this is to do more with sujood rather than praying on the carpet or not on the carpet. So we're not allowed to do sujood on the carpet. Can we do it on concrete or on the road, for example?
The evidence from the hadith showed that we are only allowed to pray on earth, what is known as earth, ard. And this hadith was regarded, I mentioned before, that you're only allowed to pray on earth. Other than that, you cannot pray on. So, for example, on the carpet, on things that you can actually eat and wear. That's actually the ruling for it. Something that is edible, you can't pray on. But let's say the grass that we can't eat, you can't pray on the grass.
Yes.
That you cannot eat it. Or the tree leaves that you can't eat it.
Yeah.
You can pray on them when we don't have a mohar or for turba.
Okay.
Then you can pray on the grass.
I see.
So these are exceptions with regards to not non-edible items, and as well as I've mentioned, what we wear, we can't pray on what we wear, the fabrics and so forth.
Sheikhna, questions come here, and it's Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. My marja Ayatollah Shirazi says falsafa, which is philosophy, is haram and najis. Do you know why he says this? Sheikhna, have you heard our grand marja Sayyid Sadiq Shirazi, or I think he's the only one with the surname Shirazi, say something like this, that falsafa is haram and najis and so forth?
We have some of the ulum or knowledges in which are rejected to be studied by the students, let's say Hawza or even university, in which would cause some kind of deviation in their aqeedah, in their belief. And one of these knowledges or subjects is the philosophy and mysticism, falsafa and arfan, which is derived from previously Greece and other nations, in which they have penetrated into the Islamic knowledge and ulum as a result, and it was translated in the, I think, in the Abbasid's time, in the Ma'mun's time, in which he brought books from philosophy books from the Greece, Yunan, and translated to Arabic, and eventually it came into our
So you
subjects.
could say some of this knowledge doesn't actually come from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Of course, that's the problem with it. It's mixed with the right and wrong, but it's taught all as a whole subject, and that's the issue, that we have to avoid these subjects and these ulum and knowledges, because there are deviations are within these ulum that we have to avoid, and we have to take from Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam.
Sheikh, a question from YouTube. Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Mubarak, Sheikhna. I have a fever. Should I fast or not?
That's actually not a reason for breaking your fast. No, you have to
continue. I mean, first seek medical attention from your doctor. That's the best thing we could say, is get medical advice, professional medical advice. But yes, Sheikhna, I think it's quite common for people to fast because of dehydration, lack of minerals and so forth, to get headaches, to feel fatigue and so forth. Should we break our fast, or do we continue?
No, usually on the first or second day, that's something normal that happens, headaches, other side effects of fasting. But inshallah, things will settle in the next couple of days.
Yeah, we haven't got
so
too long left.
You can't break it for such reasons.
Inshallah. Wow, more questions covered. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. What is the Islamic law about someone who cannot fast due to old age? I think we're going to be discussing this later on. But
inshallah,
in
yes.
general, Sheikhna,
I'll break it down, inshallah, into categories one by one, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. How can we avoid major sins during the holy month and abstain ourselves by controlling our desires?
I think she already answered the question at the end. Controlling our desires. That's the whole idea about this whole month of Ramadan, to control our evil desires. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam stated in his sermon that one of the best deeds in this holy month of Ramadan is al-wara' an maharim Allah, is to abstain from the sins that Allah has forbidden. Yes. So that's the best month for the individuals and the believers to stop and quit all these sins that they used to, na'udhu billah, some
perform or have trouble with.
Yes.
I think one thing really important to mention, Sheikhna, is also that during the holy month of Ramadan, something which is halal upon us, which is to eat and drink, is become totally forbidden. And it teaches us God consciousness, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always there and always watching. Taqwa, but also self-discipline, which is, I think, is one of the most important things to exercise throughout our whole lives, but especially in the holy month of Ramadan, we get to exercise it extra and rebuild on it. Self-discipline to refrain from doing any form of sin. Ahsan. Sheikh, you mentioned about that when we bring in Jamaa, that the imama of the Jamaa, he should be adil. What counts as a adil male?
The one who does not commit major sins and continuously commits these sins. So you would know this individual is a mu'min. He doesn't, na'udhu billah, drink alcohol, mathalan, commit adultery and so forth. A mu'min individual who comes to the mosque, offers praise and he leaves, that's it. So if you know him, then that should be fine. You can pray behind him. You don't have to go through his biography, for example. Or
Shaykh, we have a phone call from one of our viewers. Inshallah, we'll be able to answer their query. Assalamu alaikum, brother or sister. Your question, please.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I just want to congratulate everyone on the holy month of Ramadan, and also want to congratulate you people at Imam Hussein TV for finally going on Sky. I'm very happy to see you on here.
Thank you very much, brother. And yes, Ramadan Kareem to you too. And yes, we have made it to Sky, and inshallah, we're able to cross more and more platforms, inshallah.
Inshallah, inshallah. So I have a question for the Sheikh.
Okay, go ahead.
Salam Sheikh. My question is, while I am fasting, I occasionally have to blow my nose or expel excess saliva from my mouth. But sometimes accidentally, I do swallow that saliva. Does that mean my fast is invalid?
Okay, thank you very much. Fantastic question, great question. Sheikhna, when one is fasting, sometimes they have phlegm or excess saliva and so forth. If they swallow it, does it break their fast?
No, there's no, it doesn't really break the fast. The saliva inside the mouth is not a means of breaking the fast. The one can actually swallow them. If you insert an external object inside the mouth and you remove it, then of course you have to avoid putting back this object again inside the mouth, because now there's an issue that you have a.
So if it's internal, if it's like behind the nose and so forth,
even in the mouth,
it
should be fine. Yes.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So if I cough, some phlegm comes into my mouth.
The phlegm should be spit out. Yes.
Ah, okay.
But the saliva should be fine.
Saliva is okay.
Should be fine. Yeah.
Ahsantum. Thank you, Sheikhna. More and more questions coming in. One from YouTube here. What if someone is making 60 qadha fasts for kafara and breaks one of it, like Rosa number 20? Is there any other kafara for that? Okay, so the question is, as you are aware, Sheikhna, that one of the kafaras is that you have 60 fasts to perform in place of one missed fast in Ramadan. 30 of them have to be consecutive.
Yes.
What if you break one of those during the 30? Let's say he said day number 20, fast number 20, he didn't manage to do, or he broke that fast. Is there kafara to pay on that fast, that number 20? So kafara on the kafara? Or does he just start again from zero to hit 30?
The problem she needs to do them consecutively. So 30 days consecutively, that's a problem. You can't have any breaks in between, so they have to consider fasting.
I see.
Them in full, in 30 days full, or 31 days.
Sheikhna, I think it's from WhatsApp, is vaping and smoking halal?
Not while fasting, of course. You cannot fast. You cannot smoke while you're fasting. It's one of the means of breaking the fast. So you have to avoid it while fasting.
I see. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Are we allowed to buy an investment property to increase income by borrowing money from the bank and paying interest? Thank you very much. So Sheikhna, let's be specific here. They're not buying a property for them to live in. It's an extra property as an investment. And are they allowed to, get a mortgage for that, which obviously entails and involves interest?
It is problematic because it's not your first home in which you need to buy and live, and you need. It's not a need, it's just an investment. And there's a problem with such purchase of such a property in which you have to pay interest on, in which you're not compelled to pay for. Yeah.
I understand. Shaykh, another phone call from one of our viewers, inshallah we'll be able to answer their question. Assalamu alaikum. Your question, please.
Assalamu alaikum, Shaykhuna and Sayyid Muhsin Shah. I just wanted to thank you guys for this amazing question and answer live. You finally brought it to our screens on Sky. Very excited. Me and the family and the kids are watching now.
Alaikum salam. Thank you so much, brother. And yeah, we do our best. And this is what we're here for, Ahkam SOS. We're here to answer all of your questions. Please, your question towards the Sheikh.
I wanted to ask, if I had severe headaches during work and I'm not used to fasting the first couple of days, am I allowed to take painkillers like paracetamol without water?
Okay. Thank you very much. Cheers. Sheikhna, someone's at work, they're having severe headaches. Are they allowed to take painkillers with no water? So just a tablet. Can they swallow a tablet to help with their headaches and so forth?
As I just mentioned a few minutes ago that on the first and second day, usually we would get headaches, some other side effects as a result of fasting for the first day or the second day of the holy month of Ramadan after not fasting for the rest of the year. That happens usually. One should, ala kulli hal, be with patience. This is the holy month of Ramadan. We're here to fast, not to actually enjoy ourselves with food and drink. It is difficult in terms for some of those who would have some difficulties. Of course, if it's an illness, some kind of illness, that the medics would say that you have to break your fast, and he would or she would also consider that, of course, I have to break my fast because it's harmful. Then, of course, one can actually break the fast. If it's harmful, and there's a medic's advice as well with this regard, then of course they have to break the fast and make it up later. But it's just a minor or intermediate headache and so forth. There's no excuse for the individual to break their fast.
You're better off just laying down for a little bit, maybe having a small nap. You feel a lot better. Sheikh, more questions coming in, mashallah. Assalamu alaikum. Is spraying perfume allowed while fasting? I was told it isn't allowed.
No, of course, we have a hadith that it encourages for the one who fasts to wear perfume. Okay. It is encouraged rather than it's not allowed or discouraged. It is encouraged for the believers to wear perfume while fasting.
Sheikh, we have another phone call from one of our viewers. Inshallah, we'll be able to answer their questions. Assalamu alaikum.
Salamun alaikum.
How are you doing, brother?
Alhamdulillah. How are you, Sayyid?
I'm very well. Ramadan Kareem to you, brother.
Ramadan Mubarak to all the people in Hajj, inshallah.
Thank you so much. Your question,
I have a
please,
question for the Sheikh.
Yes, please.
Is it allowed to use miswak during fasting or not?
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your question, brother. Keep watching Imam Hussein TV.
Thank you very much.
Sheikh, now the question was, are we allowed to use miswak while we're fasting?
Yes, make sure that it doesn't go through the throat.
Okay, nothing is
so within the mouth area, wash and just
so you're saying don't go down the throat. Are you talking
exactly.
about the saliva? Are you talking about the pieces of the miswak, the wood pieces?
The pieces of the miswak. Yeah, make sure it doesn't go inside the mouth. So
okay.
That's important.
Okay, fantastic. Sheikh, you know, Ramadan is upon us and a lot of us are fasting. A lot of people would want to know, what is fasting?
Basically, fasting is an act of worship, ibadah, which requires intention, which requires a complete course of the performance of that act, be it salah, be it fasting, be it hajj. You have to make sure you complete from A to Z that worship, that act of ibadah, and with intention, of course, qurbatan Allah ta'ala. And of course, with regards to the fasting, is basically for the one who is in the age of adolescence, baligh, becomes wajib, and not for the child. Children are exempted from fasting. So yes, the meaning of fast is to abstain and refrain from eating from the Fajr, dawn, till the dusk or the Maghrib, Shar'i Maghrib Adhan. So from the Fajr, the moment the Adhan of Fajr is called, you cannot eat and drink at all. And other issues regarding the muftarat.
I think it's encouraged to stop at imsak, isn't it?
Imsak, yeah, 10-15 minutes they would put as ihtiyat to stop eating and drinking. But in overall, from Fajr Adhan till Adhan al-Maghrib, just before Adhan al-Maghrib, you're not allowed to consume any food or drink. And that's basically is the meaning of fast in overall. With the niyyah, ta'ala, as I mentioned. And of course, in overall, fasting comes under 4 main Islamic rulings. As you know, we have 5 Islamic rulings.
Yes.
Wajib, haram, mustahab, makruh, and mubah. The fasting, because it's ibadah, comes under 4 categories. So wajib, like the month of Ramadan, wajib fasting.
You have to fast.
Haram fasting we have, in which you cannot fast, and that's Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. No fasting
Totally haram.
permissible. You have the mustahab fast, the month of Sha'ban, just
Rajab,
fast,
Mondays
and Rajab as well.
Thursdays.
Exactly. These holy months to fast as well, mustahab. And you have makruh, such as the day of Ashura.
Yeah.
Makruh to fast, because that's some kind of thanksgiving, you know, because Bani Umayyah celebrated that day when Imam was killed, salamullah alayhi. So these are the major ahkam for the fasting.
I see. Sheikh, more questions coming in here. Okay, something to do with Arab culture. Water gum allowed to be chewed during fasting, used in Arab culture, also known as Allergy. Do you know what Allergy is? Am I saying it right?
Yes. The problem is that small pieces of that gum, if it goes inside the throat, that would cause invalidate the sawm. So that's a problem with it. Even the ones, the flavored one, the flavor comes inside the throat. That's the problem.
Sorry, Sheikh, could you explain what Allergy is? Because it's the first time I'm hearing
it's a
about this.
non-flavored gum. It's a natural gum. I don't know from what tree they take
Okay,
it.
so like a sap that comes out of a tree.
Possibly, it's some kind of gum, yeah.
And people chew that?
Yeah. But sometimes small pieces goes inside the throat. That's the problem.
I see.
With the gums. So one should avoid it if they can.
I see. Sheikh, I've read narrations where Imam Ali killed the dogs of Medina, and I wanted to ask if killing dogs is permissible due to this.
I have no idea about this hadith.
Yeah, the first time I've heard about it. Maybe they're referring to some people rather than animals. Sheikh, does Salat al-Layl or other non-wajib salah have to be recited out loud for men, or can we whisper?
No, so mustahab salah, you can recite it, you know, anyhow. It's a mustahab salah.
Okay, it's up to you.
It's not wajib yet to recite it aloud.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh and Sayyid. Alaikum salam. I have to pay university fees and I have to take out student loans to fund my education, which entails riba, interest. I need to get a job. So at this point, does this become my need? And would riba be, for me, still be a sin?
In overall, when the ulama permit for the one to take out a loan or use the credit cards, for example, and pay the interest only in the conditions of need. If there's a need, then you can use your credit card, for example, and pay interest or loans and so forth. So when there's a need, of course, the one is allowed in this case.
I see. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykhna. Can I take prescribed allergy medicine while fasting with no water? This is a good question, Shaykhna, because sometimes it's established you're not allowed to take any medicines orally. So
Exactly.
Tablet or serum or something like that. What about stuff like nasal sprays or air sprays or oils in the air and so forth? Are we allowed to take these, especially when it's for allergies and things like that?
The problem, if it's taken through the nose, it goes through inside the throat. That's the problem. And that would break the fast.
I see.
So they should try it at night, possibly before the sahar and after iftar. Maybe that's the best time.
Shaykhna, you mentioned fasting, and we had a couple of questions as well about those who cannot fast and so forth. So who are the category? Who are those people who are exempted from fasting?
Yes, and individual, someone who is unable to fast is, as you mentioned before, the question about an old age man.
Yes.
This or old age woman, those elderly who cannot fast, they cannot bear, hunger for a long time. Of course, they're exempt from fasting, and not obligatory for them to fast because they can't bear long time without food and drink. Anyhow, it becomes mandatory for them, for this elderly woman or man, to actually give to the poor, to the faqir, one mud, which is 750 grams.
Yes.
750 grams of food, let's say wheat, barley and so forth for every day not fasted. So they take out this amount of money or food for every day they couldn't fast and give it as a fidya, and instead of not being able to fast. So that's actually the questions the brother asked just a few minutes ago.
Sheikhna, we're going to go to a short break. So, ladies and gentlemen, sit down, relax, don't go anywhere. We're still coming back. We're going to have a short break. And after the break, we'll continue our discussion on Islamic law here on Ahkam SOS. Don't go anywhere. This Ramadan, help IHC distribute food baskets to the impoverished in Iraq and Afghanistan. You can provide a food basket which will feed a family of four for 10 days for just £25. That's £75 to feed a family for the whole of Ramadan. Now, what comes in the food basket, I hear you say? Well, we have flour, rice, meats like chicken, also lamb and beef, dates, lentils, olives, vegetables, fruits, and essentials such as oil and also tomato paste. To donate or for more information, visit www.imamhusseincharity.com. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Ahkam SOS, the show that discusses Islamic duties and practices. Now, this is a live show. We do take in your questions. MashaAllah, we were bombarded with questions, but we still got a lot more time and a lot more time to answer all of your questions. So send in your questions via WhatsApp, email address, send them via YouTube or from Facebook Live. Just put them in the comment section. Or if you'd like, give us a call. We've had 3 callers already. Why not give us a call? 0203 515 0199. Inshallah, myself and the Sheikh will be able to discuss and answer your questions. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Assalamu alaikum.
Sheikhna, you mentioned that the elderly are exempted from fasting. Are there any other groups of people that are exempted? For example, people who are traveling, pregnant ladies and so forth.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yes, indeed. Another type of those who are exempted from fasting, known as the thirstful.
Okay.
The one who is always in the state of being thirsty. So, God forbid, this is some kind of illness in which the one needs constant use and access to water. Those individuals who need continuous, water, then of course it's not wajib on them to fast, and like the elderly individuals, they have to pay again 1 mud of food, or the money of that, the cost of that, which is 750 grams of wheat, barley and so forth, to the poor individual for every day they couldn't fast because of this illness. They're always thirstful, always need access to water and drink water. So yes, these individuals, they don't need to actually fast, but pay mud of ta'am, of food, for every day couldn't make it, basically fast.
I see. What about the travelers? And so, for example, it's well known if I'm traveling, I don't have to fast, no?
The traveling has a different hukum, because in travel you get the concession for breaking your fast. You have to break your fast in travel, and to shorten your salah as well. Yes. But there's no fidya to pay for those who travel. Correct. So that's the difference
you make
between the one who is elderly and the one who is traveling. So it's a concession for the travelers to break their fast and shorten their salah as well.
Any other groups that have a...
Yes, I have one more, and that is the pregnant and the breastfeeding woman.
Okay.
Those ladies who can't bear the fasting due to pregnancy and breastfeeding, in which could harm herself or her child, of course, it's not wajib for them to fast. And basically, they need to give mud of ta'am again as a fidya to the poor. Of course, it becomes 2 muds if let's say if she's breastfeeding for 2 years, so she missed 1 Ramadan, holy month of Ramadan, and then she missed again the second one. So for the first holy month of Ramadan that she missed, she couldn't fast and make it up later.
Yes.
in the same year because of the breastfeeding, she needs to give 2 moods of food, ta'am, 750 grams of fidya. Number 1, for not fasting. Number 2, for not being able to make it up later, qada.
So 1 for the fast and 1 for the qada.
Exactly, yes.
Okay. Ahsant. Sheikhna, questions coming in from our viewers. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. I heard, but I don't know if it's true, that when you find out something is haram, it is not responsible on you to tell other people. So, for example, I search a chip is haram, and someone touches that chip and then goes and makes dinner for me. The issue is causing me a lot of stress, and after just recently coming from ziyarah, this is definitely whispers of shaitan, because I have been told I have this before. I only have the issue about this. Someone suggested it. It may be OCD, but I don't think so. I do have it sometimes about prayer and cleanliness.
You see, in overall, if something is haram, you have to avoid it. And if the conditions of haram is being practiced by others, somebody else is committing the haram, you have to see if the conditions of nahi an al-munkar, refraining people from the wrongdoings, for example, if it meets that person, of course, you have to, as a wajib act, to inform them that this is haram and to avoid it. So be it on yourself or others, you have to refrain from the act of haram and not to perform the haram in anyhow. And there's no excuse for that. Unless there's a harm, there's a darar, we have taqiyya, we have other issues in which it would allow for such extreme cases that this haram becomes even sometimes wajib to be committed. Somebody who's starving from death in the desert.
Yes.
And there's only haram flesh, a piece of meat, for example, a corpse. If he doesn't eat it, he would die. So you see, the conditions are depend on the situations.
More questions, Sheikhna. Salam, Ramadan Mubarak to you all. Mubarak to you too. Can we give our fitra in advance to the deserving people now? And second, what is the difference between kafara and fidya? Thanks.
Initially, to give sorry, can you say again?
It says, can we give our fitra in advance to deserving people now?
Yeah, the fitra should be paid on the eve or on the to be taken out on the eve of the Eid or the fitr. However, some ulama mentioned that you can take it out before then with the intention of, as a loan, you give it to that poor individual, not to use it until the eve of the Eid or the day of the Eid.
And
then they can take it out and use it. But you give it with the intention of, as a loan, you give it as a loan, keep it in a safe box, safe side. Don't use it until the eve of the Eid or the day of the Eid, in which you turn the intention to zakatul fitra, then they can actually use it. And
I see. Secondly, what's the difference between kafara and fidya?
Kafara is when somebody commits something that breaks the fast.
Okay, so it's a penalty.
Exactly, it's a penalty. But the fidya is when you can't fast that day due to an illness, you pay as a means of
instead
of that, not being able to make up that day, you pay actually fidya for not being able to fast that day.
So one is an alternative and the other one is a penalty fine.
Exactly.
Okay, ahsant. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Someone I know believes that the Imams, knowing the hour when Qiyamah will happen, he says he has his evidence and he's also a Sheikh. I wanted to ask, is the brother out of the Shayu or still a mu'min?
You see, these things we have to go back to the narrations of Ahlul Bayt and to the ulama to search more about these issues that Allah Azza wa Jalla has given the ilm of ma kan of the past, or ma yakun, and the present, ma yakun, ma kain, that will be in future to Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. That's what we believe, that they have the knowledge. Ilmul kitab. وَمَنْ عِنْدَهُ عِلْمُ الْكِتَابِ. The one who has the knowledge, the full knowledge. Allah gives this knowledge. Imagine that if somebody, for example, has a bit of knowledge about, let's say, foretellings in somehow, and they actually happen in future. Allah Azza wa Jalla can give this knowledge to a great people and great individuals like the prophets and the Imams alayhim salam. And that's not something shirk or against Allah's rules. Because Allah Azza wa Jalla in the Holy Quran states that Allah revealed to the bee, إلى النحل. Oh, وَأَوْحَيْنَا لَأُمُّ Musa, that Allah revealed to the mother of Musa alayhi salam that, take Musa alayhi salam, the baby,
the child,
in the river and so forth, the story with the Pharaoh. So, revealing on individuals, be it animals or human beings, who are not infallible, this is mentioned in the Holy Quran. So why not Ahlul Bayt gain such knowledge, or even the prophets of Allah Azza wa Jal, to gain the unseen knowledge and be able to tell people. And this is mentioned in the Quran as well about the Prophet Isa alayhi salam telling people what they have. So, or raising the dead and so forth. These are Allah Azza wa Jal gives as power, as knowledge, as unseen knowledge to those individuals who will deserve it. So why not?
Sheikh, question here, and a very, very good question, because I think a lot of us may come onto this this issue or incident. Salam, brothers. Alaikum salam. Can you break your fast with your family who are Sunni at their timings out of respect of Iftar?
Not at all. Your sawm will be batil. You have to break it after the Maghrib Shar'i, which is yes, about 20 minutes after the sunset. So, or let's say 20 minutes after, or 15 minutes after the adhan of the Ahl Sunnah. You can't break it with them. You have to wait and break it afterwards.
Sheikh, we have a phone call for one of our viewers, inshallah. We'll be able to answer their question. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello. Wa alaikum salam. Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Mubarak to you too, brother. And your question, please, for the Sheikh.
I would like to ask, would it count as Sadaqah Jariyah if you donate to a TV channel?
Okay, thank you very much. Fantastic. If you donate to a TV channel, would it count as Sadaqah Jariyah?
Definitely, as long as that TV channel remains or on air, or even recorded programs on YouTube, or to become as published books, for example, read by generations, of course. These are all Sadaqah Jariyah, part of the Sadaqah Jariyah.
Fantastic. Thank you, brother, for your question. And inshallah, all of us can give a little Sadaqah Jariyah to Imam Hussein TV at some point, inshallah. Sheikhna, one question I wanted to ask you in regards to fasting was also like the niyyah, and how do we begin the niyyah? Do we do the niyyah for each day separately, or do we do a niyyah for the whole of Ramadan? How does the niyyah work?
Exactly, we have two options with regards to the niyyah for fasting the holy month of Ramadan. So from the first night of the holy month of Ramadan, you have the option of making the niyyah for the whole month. So I fast the whole month of Ramadan. Or you can come every night in the sahur time, and make the niyyah that I fast the following day, each day separately. You have both options to consider. But of course, the first one is easier because peace of mind, you've made the intention from the first night to fast the whole month. And that's, I think, makes life easier.
Sheikh, I've got a question here from the viewers, and they're saying, Assalamu alaikum. Sometimes the iftar time comes when I am traveling and I do not have any food or something to open my fast with. How do I open my fast at the iftar time if I'm traveling and I have no food?
The brother is traveling. How does he fast while he's traveling? That's the issue. Unless he travels in the afternoon.
Let's say it's local.
Yes.
Let's say maybe if he left work at 6 o'clock, iftar is at 6:45, and he's on the journey home. But it's time for Maghrib Adhan now. But he's still traveling home, on underground or something like that.
Yeah, if he's not a traveler in which he must break his fast.
Yeah.
If he's just local travel, as you mentioned, work to home to work, and so forth, then of course he needs to wait until he gets back home, or he gets to a local corner shop. Let's say buy a piece of chocolate or bread or water and break his fast. Yes.
Fantastic.
It's not wajib for you to break it on time, and you can delay a bit until you get the means to break your fast.
Inshallah. Okay, another question here from one of our viewers. Assalamu alaikum. I have a friend who is in a muta with a guy for almost 9 years now, and they are still in a contract. But this is the question and the issue. She got into a new contract with another man. I guess she's asking, what is the Islamic ruling? We have someone involved in a muta contract which has not been, what's the proper word to use, nullified, or it hasn't come to an end. It's still valid and continuing. And then they've entered another contract with another individual. What's the Islamic Sharia on this, Sheikh?
The problem is the second contract is problematic because you can't have two contracts with one woman. That's the issue. One of them is nullified, is batil. The aqd is batil. You can't have two aqds on one woman. So either this individual takes this woman as his wife, be it long term or short term, or the other individual. You can't have two contracts on one lady. That's not allowed. So the first one remains as a valid contract, the first aqd.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. We're going to go to a short break, inshallah. Join us after the break as we continue our discussion on Ahkam SOS.
I have a question regarding keeping pictures of scholars.
Is it permissible to plant trees by or over
Islam
the
established based on peace and
non-violence? Is it permissible to collect donations for charity projects from
Is it permitted to consume canned food imported from non-Muslim countries?
Is there an issue for men looking at non-Muslim women?
To have your questions answered live, call in on +44 2035 150199 or WhatsApp us on +44 7415 092155. Alternatively, you can also email us on ahkamsos@imamhussein.tv.
Yes, send in your questions. We don't need to know your name, and we don't need to know where you're asking from. It's totally anonymous, and ask any question you like on any topic. And you can send your questions in via the WhatsApp, the email address. You can give us a call 0203 515 0199 if you're watching on Facebook Live or you're watching on YouTube. Put your questions in the comment section, and inshallah, myself and the Sheikh will be able to answer your questions. There's no question too silly or too taboo. We do our best to answer all of your questions on various topics. And furthermore, if you want a specific fatwa or opinion from a marja, please give us the name. We have contacts with the official offices and the official representatives of all our marja from Najaf and Karbala and in Qom, and we can get you your answers, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh.
Assalamu alaikum.
Shaykh, what are the words that we use when we want to actually have the intention to fast? Is there something specifically we have to recite?
I mean, overall, the intentions are in your mind. You don't have to utter them, except in Hajj. In overall, for the salah, for the siyam, for these acts of worship, you would keep it in your mind that I'm fasting for the cause of Allah Azza wa Jal, to get nearness to Allah Azza wa Jal. Qurbatan ila Allah Ta'ala. You keep it in your mind, because if the fasting is for losing weight, it's not accepted. The intention for losing weight, you can't have such a fast. So the fast must originally and mainly to be Qurbatan ila Allah Ta'ala. That's the main thing. And as I've said, you don't have to utter it. You can just keep it in your mind. Keep it in your mind. Make the intention of fasting, that this is ibadah towards Allah Azza wa Jal, and that suffices. Let me mention...
Shaykh, I think we're running out of time. We've only got a couple of seconds left, so I
Right,
do apologize. But inshallah,
Inshallah.
tomorrow's episode we're able to continue.
Inshallah.
Thank you to all of you for joining us on this episode of Ahkam SOS. If we didn't answer your question, I do apologize. But inshallah, tomorrow's episode, 5:30 here on Imam Hussein TV, we will be answering your questions. Until then, take care, enjoy the fast, and please remember us in your du'as. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
We question our daily position, seeking answers and definitions. Get the queries off your chest with Ahkam SOS.
تهدمت